Eagles win 31-3. It's not good for Bears, all right. John Fox, if he wants his job, well, it's not a way to go about it. If the Eagles, the train keeps rolling along. Awesome. The Browns are winless, still at 0-11, losing 30-16 to the Cincinnati Bengals in the Battle of Ohio. So they got swept yet again this year by the Bengals. Joe Mixon, the rookie out of Oklahoma, had a career-high 114 yards rushing and had 165 total yards on the ground, including an 11-yard touchdown run that put the game away in the fourth quarter. Despite DeShone Kizer not turning the ball over for the second game this year and getting yet another touchdown keeper on the ground from 6 yards, it didn't matter. Cleveland just finds ways to lose. I think that's what their head coach Hugh Jackson does. Wakes up thinking, how can I lose today? What stunning, spectacular play can I make go wrong? But they're 0-11. They're still searching for a win. All right. The Chargers go into Dallas on Thanksgiving and carve them. And Philip Rivers carves the Cowboys up like a Thanksgiving turkey. 434 yards, not sacked on the day, 3 touchdowns. And his man, Keenan Allen, has 11 receptions on a career-high 172 yards. And they also got a fumble recovery touchdown. A nice 42-yard catch and run touchdown between 5 defenders. They won 28-6 against Dallas. Third straight loss for the Cowboys, sans Ezekiel Elliott. The Broncos are trying to end their longest losing skid in 27 years. Well, they just extended it to 7, and it's been 50 years since before the NFL merger took place. They lose to the Oakland Raiders in the black hole, 21-14. And unfortunately, Michael Crabtree and Keith Lee both lost their minds by punching each other and both getting served a 1-game suspension. Originally 2, but the NFL decided, on appeal, that it would be cut into 1. Just doesn't really matter. Marshawn Lynch, did get a rushing touchdown for Oakland, but still. Michael Crabtree, the receiver for Oakland, Keith Lee, corner for Denver. Try to solve your petty differences next time you play each other instead of resorting to fisticuffs. It would help your team a bit. I'm just saying, it would help. It wouldn't hurt for you guys not to be on the field. Now, the Minnesota Vikings go into Detroit on Thanksgiving, and the Case Keenum gets a huge serving of all the fixins, and did the mashed potato with 2 touchdowns and a rushing score in the first half. And Keenum with a 7-2 season after going 9-15 with the Texans and the Rams of both LA and St. Louis has really served this Vikings team well into an NFC North lead. And they win 30-23. The Lions at the end, Stafford tried, but of course, game-sealing interception. The Green Bay Packers go into the Steel City at Heinz Field, but Antonio Brown, not only did he have 10 receptions of 169 yards and 2 touchdowns, but the biggest play of the game, when the game is tied at 28-all with about 30-ish yards, they have to go with 17 seconds. He gets the tippy-toe 23-yard reception by Ben Roethlisberger, both feet in bounds, setting up the game-winning 53-yard field goal by Chris Boswell. The Packers lose to the Steelers 31-28, but you got to give it to Brett Hundley. He didn't turn the ball over. He had 3 touchdowns, and the Packers were able to hang in there on Sunday night in a tough environment. So kudos to the Packers with everything that's been going on. But still, at the end of the day, a loss is still a loss. And with Aaron Rodgers hopefully coming back, who knows? Maybe the bleeding will end. But for the Steelers, the party just keeps on going. Now the Titans go into Tennessee. Titans are down 16-6. And what does Marlon Mack of the Indianapolis Colts do? He fumbles the ball, then giving it back to Tennessee. Then Indy gets called for an offside penalty. The ball gets moved to the 2-yard line. Marcus Mariota gets a left corner end zone pass to Delaney Walker, making it 16-13 with about 1:50 to go. Then Tennessee eventually gets the ball back. And Murray scores on a 1-yard touchdown run with about 5:59 to go in the game. Titans beat the Colts 20-16. Jacoby Brissett walked into a very tough situation this year with Andrew Luck being on the sidelines with that shoulder injury. But I give him all the credit in the world for trying his best to help this team. But when you have an offensive line that can't protect you, when you have several mistakes like what Marlon Mack did this week, that just doesn't help you whatsoever. And as for the Tennessee Titans, they are one of the worst 7-4 teams. They win by the skin of their teeth. But they can't keep playing from behind every week and expect to come back. At some point, it's going to bite them back. Sorry, folks. So, who knows what's going to happen. Now, the Saints go into Los Angeles, take on the Rams to extend their 8-game winning streak. Well, unfortunately, Jared Goff gets 354 yards, and Sammy Watkins and Josh Reynolds, the rookie, his first touchdown of his career. Saints lose to the Rams 26-20. Dolphins go into New England into a buzzsaw. Tom Brady carves them. Talk about carving people up like a turkey. He carved them up like a finely tuned surgeon with 4 touchdowns, 2 of which went to Gronkowski, including my favorite, the 5-yarder that extended their 7-0 lead to 14-0. The only unfortunate part of this game was Tom Brady fumbling, was missing a snap, but it was not his fault. It was the center's fault. Ted Karras' fault on that shotgun snap that Tom Brady wasn't ready for. Yeah, Rashad Jones recovering got a touchdown for Miami. It was one of the few victories of that game. Other than that, the Miami Dolphins lost yet again. And 7th straight game, Patriots defense hold the team under 17 points. That's why they've won 7 straight, because the defense has revamped from what they were in the beginning. And that's the power of Matt Patricia, who should and will one day be a head coach. Maybe he will be the coach of this team coming up. The New York Giants, Thanksgiving night, go into Washington, take on the Redskins, and Kirk Cousins gets 2 touchdowns. The only points of the game the Giants got was a pick 6 by Janoris Jenkins for 53 yards. And the worst thing possibly happened yet again, another injury. He injures his ankle. He's done for the year. So that means the Giants were without 2 of their receivers. They were out several of their defensemen, and now their shutdown corner, who unfortunately got suspended for 1 game this year. With all the ineptitude right here, the fact that Eli was sacked 4 times and hit 7 times, an indictment on his offensive line, and people dropping passes and just everything that could possibly go wrong. And even for the Redskins, with all the injuries they've had to endure, they still were able to get this much-needed victory. Yeah, the Redskins win 20-10. And the Seahawks and the 49ers taking on each other in what I like to call a classic NFC West rivalry. Well, it was Russell Wilson who had 2 touchdowns and 150. That gave him 150 career touchdowns. Congratulations. 94 career starts, 6 career starts he's had. 5th longest active streak in the NFL. And this is the reason why the Seahawks have been a successful team. The guy was practically a 3rd receiver back in 2011, and he moved up to be the number 1, and his team has been the better since. And they win 24-13, and give it up to Jimmy Graham, who got a touchdown, passed Jeremy Stevens for the most touchdowns by a Seattle tight end in history. And that, folks, is the games of Week 12. Now, let's go into the week that is, Week 13. Redskins face the Cardinals, and boy, oh boy, my favorite play of the game was a huge touchdown by the by the special teams of the Cowboys. And, Switzer dashing into the end zone, past Harvey Clemens in the second quarter. And, of course, Dak Prescott throwing a few touchdowns himself. Fortunately, had a swollen right hand, but, the x-rays are negative. I think things will be all right, but Cowboys ended their losing streak, 38-14. Giants are going to the black hole to play on the Raiders. Geno Smith starting. Ugh! Geno starting. Turnover. Without a doubt. This is not even a game that I should get into or talk for too long because I don't have too much time, and I got 15 other games. And not only that, it's not worth delving too much into it, but I will say this. Shame on the ownership for the way they treated Eli Manning. Shame on them. Shame on them. And he's really been a great sport about it. Class act all the way. I don't think they're going to win. I'm giving this to the Oakland Raiders. I really am. I cannot see the Giants winning this game with Geno Smith. he'll be worse. Yeah, so if there are people who want to say that Eli is not great, well, 2 Super Bowls. How many does Geno have? And I'm a Jet fan, folks. None. He's a turnover walking on 2 legs. Yeah, I got the Giants losing this week. And then maybe they'll come back to their senses. The Giants organization next week will start Eli Manning when they have to play the Cowboys. Because that's what should be the case. I'm going to this game on Sunday with my brother, who is a Cowboys fan. But his team won this week, so he gets to go see my team play. The Jets played the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs are in desperation mode. They've lost 5 out of their last 6. Their running back has been inept. They can't convert well on third down. While the New York Jets can maintain a fourth-quarter lead. So something will give in this game. Will the Jets have their fourth-quarter issues worked out where they've been outscored 114 to bleh? Or, I don't know, not to blah, but believe me, it's just 114 to 76 to 20. Anyway, or will the Chiefs be able to overcome their third down inefficiency? I think the Chiefs will overcome their third down inefficiency, and we're going to see plenty of their tight end, Travis Kelce, getting 2 touchdowns. I got the Chiefs winning this week. The big game in the Big Easy, Panthers, Saints. Panthers defense, Saints offense. That's the matchup right there. And the fact that Charles Johnson won't be playing this week, that could, they're going to insert Julius Peppers, the all-time sacks leader in Jacksonville, in Carolina history, into that starting lineup position for Charles Johnson. But that's going to be tough. But I think he could fulfill his shoes. It's just you're asking him to go against Drew Brees and the running backs of Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram. And those two are going to rebound this week. They're going to have a better performance than what they had last week, despite Kamara having some late-game heroics, including a 72-yard run early in the game against L.A. But it's not going to be like that. They're not going to play from behind again. They're going to come up with a huge lead. Expect a lot of big trick plays, especially on third down for the Saints. I got them winning. Now, next game right here, the Vikings heading to the deep, dirty South, take on well, I wouldn't say dirty, but the ATL, because the South is awesome. It's not dirty. It's great. And I'm sorry I said that, folks. But they're going to take on the Atlanta Falcons in the ATL in that beautiful stadium. And let me tell you, it's going to be a fun game to watch if you're there. Case Keenum taking a 7-game winning streak with a very tough trio of players in Adam Thielen, Kyle Rudolph, Stephon Diggs. Oh, and I forgot to mention also Latavius Murray and Jared McKinnon, a great combo on the ground. It's probably the second best in the league behind Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram of the Saints. Against the Falcons team that will have Devonta Freeman back and Tevin Coleman. So this could be the battle of the 2-headed running back monsters. Whoever wins that battle could win this game. And not only that, but even with that being the case, I still like Adam Thielen, what he's done lately with Case Keenum. That chemistry is just outstanding. And if there's any person that can stand up to Julio Jones, it's Xavier Rhodes, the shutdown corner. That is going to be another great matchup to look at, especially how they line up against each other. Therefore, I'm going with an upset, folks. I'm going with the Minnesota Vikings to win on the road. Because for them to have any aspirations of the postseason, they got to win in tough environments, and this is definitely one of the toughest environments, the new Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Yep, so I got the Vikes winning over the Falcons. Next game right here coming up. The Eagles of Broad Street heading to the Emerald City to take on the Seattle Seahawks in Washington State. Seahawks are not doing too bad lately. They're fighting for their spot in the NFC West, trying to catch up with the LA Rams, while the Eagles have the best record in the NFL, 9 consecutive victories, the longest streak in the league right now. And what's really great about this Eagles team, Carson Wentz, him and Nelson Aguilar just have a great chemistry with each other. And the same thing with Alshon Jeffrey, who's been another great component. And Zach Ertz, one of the most underrated tight ends in the league and the way he's playing, going up against a depleted secondary. If this was any other team going to Seattle, I would say they don't have a chance. But when you have an Eagles offense playing the way that they have been these last weeks, blowing out teams like Denver and blowing out teams like Chicago the way they have been, and they're the only team in the league that have scored over 20 points in every single game this year. Therefore, I got the Eagles winning this because when you don't have Cam Chancellor and Richard Sherman to have to answer to, no matter the noise or whatever environments the Eagles have to face, they'll overcome it. I got the Eagles winning this one. The Patriots heading to Buffalo to take on their AFC East rivals, the Bills, in Orchard Park, or New Era Field, which I'm not happy with that name. I really am not. I like the old name, Ralph Wilson, one of the originators of the AFC, who should be respected instead of disrespected from the grave the way he has been. I know teams have to have sponsors, but to me, that is a sin right there that his name was taken off that stadium and the contributions he's made to the league. Again, I'm a Jets fan, but I like to give praise and credit where credit is due. And Ralph Wilson deserves credit. But anyway, the game itself, New England, tough team right now. 7-game winning streak. Tied for the second longest with the Minnesota Vikings right now. Tom Brady, the bionic man. He's 4 years old, and he's playing like he's in his mid-20s. There's nothing this guy can't do wrong on the field. And whether he has an injury to one player or two, he always finds a way to get the ball, to spread the ball to his other receivers. So if it's not Rex Burkhead making a play on after a fake punt and getting a touchdown run or a touchdown catch, or if it's James White, or if it's Dion, or if it's Brandon Cooks, who he threw on a 5-yard pass, or Amendola, or Gronkowski, who, by the way, is a Buffalo native. So for Gronk, this is huge, of course. Every time he comes home, to his beloved Buffalo, along with his other brothers who grew up in the Buffalo area, he's going to want to. I think Gronk is going to have 3 touchdowns. Look for the spike to happen. It's going to be fun watching that. And the defense, is going up. The offense for Buffalo is just, they win by the skin of their teeth. They were lucky to win last week with that touchdown pass to Zay Jones. Otherwise, they're going against a very tough defense that hasn't given up more than 17 points in the last 7 weeks. It's not going to happen. New England all the way. Pittsburgh heading to Cincinnati, the Queen City, for a Monday night showdown in the AFC North. The Bengals need to win at least to keep their slim playoff hopes alive, while the Steelers, winning along with the Patriots, leading to that Week 15 showdown, which I can't wait to get into in a few weeks. But for the time being, for Week 13, the Steelers are the better team in every way. There's no way this Bengals secondary is going to be able to contain Antonio Brown, who's had 1 week where you get 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns. It's insane what he's doing on the field. He's a vertical deep threat. He can put his feet in bounds, perfectly placing it. He's great catching in the air. He can do crossing routes. You name it, this guy can do everything and then some. Le'Veon Bell, who a great do-everything running back and receiver out of the backfield, and the occasional place for Martavis Bryant, and Jesse James at tight end. It's a great combination of all good things for this Steelers organization. That's why I got Pittsburgh winning this. Detroit going into Baltimore, take on the Ravens. 2 teams in desperation mode, 6-5, looking to bolster their playoff roster. It's really Matthew Stafford versus one of the toughest defenses in the league in the Ravens, a defense that has 18 interceptions leading the NFL. So if Stafford wants to win, he cannot turn the ball over at all by any means, because you got a tenacious, opportunistic defense coming at you at all cylinders. And I'll be honest, too, this is just going to be a really, really tough environment for them. That's why, that's why I got the Baltimore Ravens winning this game. I cannot pick the Lions to win this game. The way they've been playing, especially last week, Matthew Stafford is going to get himself in a big, deep hole, And I think we're going to see Joe Flacco placing the ball perfectly, a lot better than we've seen weeks. Well, if you're Mike Wallace to team up against that Lions secondary that gave us some big plays to the Vikings last week. I got the Ravens winning. Next game right here, you got the Rams visiting the Cardinals in the desert. The Rams are not going to be with Robert Woods yet again, but that's okay. You still got Sammy Watkins. You still have Todd Gurley at 168 total yards, who's done everything. Tavon Austin, I think we're going to see plenty of swing passes from him. For the Cardinals, yes, they did win against Jacksonville, but they won by the skin of their teeth. But Gabbert, we're seeing a different Blaine Gabbert than we've seen in years past. He's throwing the ball with more accuracy, a lot deeper than we've seen in years past with the Jaguars and the 49ers. So he's going to get his third consecutive start. Him and Ricky Seals-Jones have been a really good tandem. So if I'm the Rams secondary, look out for Seals-Jones and where he's going to be, and Jaron Brown, and Fitzgerald. But at the end of the day, the Rams are just a better team, especially running the ball with Todd Gurley, who's going to move the chains, kill the clock, and keep Gabbert and the offense off the field. So that's why I got the Rams winning. Time possession will be key in this one. Now, Jaguars, Colts in Jacksonville. Jacksonville trying to keep pace with the Tennessee Titans in the AFC South. The Colts just trying to survive another game, but they can't turn the ball over. Because look who you're going up against. The number one total defense in points allowed, sacks, turnovers. It's unbelievable. Every statistical category, scoring defense, and 25 takeaways. That's why Jacksonville, look for them to have 9 sacks on the day. And you have the two best players to do that, Calais Campbell and Yannick Ngakoue, the only two defensive tandem in the league to have 10-plus sacks. It's going to be nasty. Speaking of the AFC South, Texans, Titans. This one is going to be epic right here for the Titans in Nissan Stadium. Look for them to have a huge day with Derrick Henry. He should be utilized a lot more than DeMarco Murray, and he will. 2 touchdowns for him, and Tom Savage will, as he usually does, he'll turn the ball over. Now, Buccaneers, Packers, the battle of the Bays. Packers, definitely. The Cheeseheads have the advantage here. They're playing in their house for one thing. You're playing with Jameis Winston, who's coming off shoulder injury. Mike Evans will be covered. Probably not by one corner, but 2 corners this week. Kevin King may not be able to play at 6'3" to counter at 6'5" frame of Evans, but look for him to be double coverage, and that's really it. After Mike Evans, who else does Winston have to throw to? Deshaun Jackson, he's pretty good. But I think this week in Jacksonville, the defense is going to really revamp itself. Look for a lot of cover 2 and cover 3 in this game. And look for for Brett Hundley on a lot of quick throws, especially to Devontae Adams on those crossing routes and inside patterns. And some good trickery on the ground with Aaron Jones. I got the Packers winning. Now, Denver trying to end the longest skid in 50 years at 7 straight, going to Miami. That's right. Vance Joseph, the head coach of the Denver Broncos, former defensive coordinator for the Miami Dolphins last year, now going to into his old stomping grounds, trying to end the bleeding that has been the 4-3-8 Broncos. And you picked a good team to do that against, the Dolphins, a team that's had so much controversy. Quarterback booed in the home game of the season. A linebacker that went AWOL. Their offensive coordinator fired for a powdery substance that he was sniffing on a video. The trade of Jay Ajayi, the mounting injuries. The Dolphins have had to go through the ringer this year. The absolute ringer. No team should have to go through what the Dolphins had to go through this year. And the switching between Matt Moore and Jay Cutler at quarterback. And the fact that, yes, Jay has got 4 wins in all his starts at 4-3. And every time Moore has started, they lost, including that 40-0 disaster on Thursday night to Buffalo. But I just cannot see the Dolphins winning this game. I think The Broncos will finally end their skid. I think C.J. Anderson will run the ball heavily this week. And Demaryius Thomas, I think, will take advantage of the Dolphins secondary. Look for them to win. And with Trevor Siemian, one of the 3 starters that Denver's had to go through this year, getting the victory. Who would have thought? 49ers, Bears, the debut of Jimmy Garoppolo in a 49ers uniform. Look out, folks. And I'm going to say this. I'm going with the 49ers to win this week. I know it's a hell of a shocker right there. Who would think that Jimmy Garoppolo could come in and save the team? But you know what he did last week in their 34-20 loss to Seattle? He came in, 24-10 loss, sorry. He came in and got a touchdown at the end of the game to Louis Ricardo. But what I did not like was the 49er fans when they were cheering at the moment. It seemed like when C.J. Beathard, the starter, was out of the game for San Francisco. I know Beathard wasn't great, but you shouldn't cheer when somebody else comes in and somebody gets hurt. That's the most vulnerable moment for any player that they have to go through. You know, it's their lives, their career on the line, their ability to pay their bills, to have that income that could help their community, their neighborhood, their family. You know, but then again, who am I to say anything? This is just what I believe. This is just how I feel. But at the end of the day, the fans have their opinions. They have their voices. I just don't think it's right, but it's their choice, whatever they want to do. You know, I just don't agree with cheering for a player when he gets injured, especially what Beathard had to go through. But hopefully he'll recover from the concussion he went through, and he'll be fine. But for Garoppolo, he's got a tough game. But if anybody can get through this, I think Garoppolo, with the training that he had in coaching from Tom Brady when he was in New England, probably invaluable, the lessons he learned. I think he'll take those lessons to San Francisco this week in his old stomping grounds of Illinois, where he played for Eastern Illinois. It's going to be a great homecoming for him. Look for the 49ers to belt out the biggest victory of the year. It would be so huge and so embarrassing for Chicago. This could be the last game that John Fox coaches on the field. I'm putting my prediction on that. And I don't like to make predictions like that. It sucks to see somebody lose their job. But John Fox, right now this year, his time in Chicago is coming towards an end. And I think this could be the straw that breaks the camel's back. Unless Jordan Howard can find a way to run, and Mitchell Trubisky and the offense and that defense can do something in Soldier Field. Final game of the week, Browns-Chargers. The Browns are winless, hapless, hopeless, yet Josh Gordon is coming back. First time since 2014. He's coming off the commissioner's exempt list. He's had issues with drugs, alcohol, and so many things in his past. But in 2013, the last full season, he had over 1,600 yards to lead the league. So I'm just saying maybe he could be the missing ingredient for this inept Browns offense. But I wouldn't count on it because look who the Browns are going up against. A surging Chargers team that went 0-4, now won 5 out of their last 7, including beating Dallas in their stadium on Thanksgiving. If they can do that on Thanksgiving to the Cowboys in a very tough environment in AT&T, I shudder to think what Joey Bosa and Melvin Ingram are going to do to Deshaun Kaiser at the line of scrimmage. That's why I got the Chargers winning this week. And that's all the games of Week 13 of the NFL. And, of course, tonight got college football, Stanford, USC. You got the ACC championship between Miami and Clemson tomorrow night. Look out for that championship. The SEC title game in the afternoon between Auburn and Georgia. That could determine who goes to the college football playoffs. And then we have Oklahoma, TCU in the Big 12, inaugural championship right there. Mountain West, Fresno State, and Boise. And Ohio State, Wisconsin in the Big 10. That is one of the great matchups. If Wisconsin can win that one, they can get themselves or sneak into that final standings for the college football playoffs. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you as always for joining me every single week and inviting me into your living room or wherever you happen to be watching the show. I'm always excited. I love the support and the people at CTV for the support they've shown me. And for all the hardworking men and women at CTV, for Mr. Kenneth Graham behind the booth doing what he does best as always. He's the man. He's aces. And for you folks watching home, I'm Eric Rosen. I'll see you next week for another episode of the Blitz Zone here on CTV. Good night, Staten Island.